Hey folks, Paul from Acres Homestead here. So in my spring of 2024 video, I had a little incident where I cut my thumb open, and I kind of showed you a little bit of first aid stuff. And I asked if you would be interested in, or if y'all would be interested in a video where I kind of go over that in some more detail. And I got a few comments saying that they would like to see that. So here we go. So living off grid, just part and parcel to our lives. One thing that I have to say is the mechanism of injury that I think that we expose ourselves most to is stuff like cuts, abrasions, lacerations, that sort of thing. So that's what I want to go over today. One thing I think that's really important for us, off-grid, prepping, homesteader types to, make sure we're well acquainted with is our own limits. When it comes to lacerations, abrasions, that sort of thing, there's a couple circumstances where I would say that most anybody, unless you possess specialized training, you need to seek medical attention, emergency medical attention immediately. Stuff like if you have a wound that's involving multiple layers of musculature, if you have a wound that's involving the internal organs, you need to see a physician. Also, if you have a bleed that won't stop despite anything that you're doing. Any one of those three things, if you've got that going on, do what you can. Seek medical attention immediately. Starting from the very minor to the very severe, I want to show you some of my favorite techniques for taking care of wounds. So here in this little Ziploc, got a bunch of these 3x3 sterile pads. These things are fantastic, and usually what I'll do is I rarely need the whole thing, is I can just cut a portion of it, and if you use the inside of the packaging to apply it, it'll remain sterile. So along with that, I also really like self-adhesive bandages. Tattoo artists love them. These things are great. They don't pick up hair and dirt and everything the way that traditional tape does. Traditional tape does have its place, but I really like self-adhesive bandages. Should go in your kit too. With virtually any kind of wound that you receive, you are going to want to clean it up if it's especially dirty. There's a couple different ways that I like to do it. So there's alcohol prep pads. Alcohol's a little harsh, it stings, so it's not always the most ideal. But what I really like are these iodine ampules here. These are single use. You just pull it out and you break the ampule inside, and it kind of soaks up in that cotton swab. And what I really like about these is using that, you can tease out any dirt or sawdust or any kind of crud that you have inside of your wound that you don't want to necessarily wrap up when you go ahead and dress it. Okay, now for kind of, moderate lacerations, if you've got a pretty significant bleed going on, one of the best things you can do is get yourself some of this compressed gauze. This is great stuff. It packs down really light. When I was an Army medic, I loved this because I could stick it in all kinds of pockets. And when you open it up, it fluffs up really good, and you can use that to apply direct pressure to a wound. And direct pressure is one of the best ways to stop bleeding. So in any kind of situation, the basic ideas when it comes to stopping bleeding is to put direct pressure on the wound so that you take your dressing, apply direct pressure to it. That is why I love these elastic bandages, because with that dressing on there, you can put the elastic bandage over it and apply pressure like that too. There's a different dressing called an Israeli dressing that has kind of a built-in ratcheting system to it. So there's all kinds of different tricks that you can do. When I was being trained as a medic, one thing that we trained on was using like rolled up socks. So you would put the dressing on the wound, wrap it in the ace bandage, put a sock on there, and then tighten it up with that ace bandage to apply that direct pressure to get that wound to stop bleeding. Compressed gauze, ace bandages. I have seen compressed gauze and ace bandages stop a traumatic limb amputation. With enough of it, and if it's on there the right way, there's not a lot that this won't stop bleeding. So the last kind of bleeding hemorrhage intervention that I want to talk to you guys about is tourniquets. Tourniquets are indicated for stuff like if you have a traumatic amputation, if you have life-threatening extremity bleeding. Your extremities are going to be your legs and your arms, and you have 4 of them. When I was a line medic in Iraq, all of our soldiers carried 4 tourniquets on them because we each possess 4 limbs. Anyway, this is very commonly seen everywhere. This is called the dog hair in it, but dog hair and a cat tourniquet. This is called the CAT tourniquet, CAT. It stands for Combat Application Tourniquet. They've gone through a number of revisions over the years. When I was first in the Army, they were quite different than they are now. The windlasses were prone to breakage, so you want one that has this thicker windlass here. Additionally, they didn't have, you know, this red on the tab so you can identify it when it goes through. I think I might do a whole other video on the CAT tourniquet because it's something that I trained a lot of soldiers on. So CAT tourniquets are fantastic, but another kind of tourniquet that I have a number of are these soft T tourniquets. That's SOF-T, Special Operations Forces tourniquet. These are a little bit more advanced, not really, they're just a lot more robust. These are what I primarily carried with me when I was deployed overseas. They're a little bit more skookum. They're a little bit more firm when you get them all set up than the CAT tourniquet. You can lock them down a little better, and these kind of require a little bit of specialized skill too. Tourniquets should only ever be applied to life-saving extremity bleeding. I'm talking a missing hand or something like that. And even then, I've seen a lot of traumatic amputations addressed just fine with compressed gauze and ace bandages. A whole heck of a lot of ace bandages, but ace bandages. So the last kind of thing that I want to go over with y'all is when it comes to equipment is something that I think is better than sutures when it comes to emergency wound closure. Any guesses what that might be? Right? Skin staplers. Skin staplers are amazing. So these come in these blister packs or one-time use. This particular one's got 35 in there. That's quite a bit. The reason why I like skin staplers more, there's a couple. First of all, they can be applied one-handed, so it's quite easy to close a wound with it. You just approximate the edges the best you can and then staple it in there. Sutures require everything to be relatively sterile in a way that skin staplers don't. That's a good quick and dirty way to close a wound. Let's say you got like a nice laceration on your back and you're the best person at doing sutures in the world. Are you going to be able to suture that laceration on your back? Break out the skin stapler. You can do it in a mirror and close up whatever you need. If you can reach it, you can close it with the skin stapler. That's not the case with sutures. Another thing that I see with sutures a lot is that one thing a lot of people don't really realize is that sutures are for kind of a permanent close. Now with skin staplers, they usually will come with the staple removal tool, because they're kind of designed to be a temporary kind of measure. So I'm out in the bush, I develop a, you know, I mess up somehow and cut myself real good, staple it closed, you know, put a dressing on it, get to town, and then the doctor will open it up, clean it up, and then, you know, actually close it the right way. Most of us are not really equipped to do the sterile field that's required for suturing. Suturing, you are completely closing up that wound, and you're closing it kind of for good. And if you didn't maintain good sterile field, if a droplet of your saliva went into that wound because you didn't mask properly, or an eyelash fell out and ended up in there, whoever is receiving those sutures may develop a really nasty infection. And sepsis can kill you very, very, very quickly. It can put you down in a really high fever in a surprisingly short amount of time. Sutures are something, if you have if you are set up to maintain a sterile environment, a sterile operating field, go ahead, suture a wound. That said, you can do quick and dirty sutures as well, but skin staplers, much easier. The bar of skill is quite a bit lower. That might be why sutures are so popular. It's kind of flash and kind of interesting looking. But I highly advise all homesteaders get a skin stapler. So there you have it, folks. These are a few items that I believe belong in every homesteader, prepper, outdoors person, household. These are some really important things to have on hand to address bleeding. Very, very common mode of injury out here on a homestead or around most anybody. But anyway, I am Paul with Easy Acres Homestead. Let me know if there's anything you think I left out in the comments below. If you learned something, go ahead and give it a like for me. And thanks very much, y'all. Take care and be easy. Whoa, that wasn't too easy.